Hello, I'm Ale and welcome to Solocosenove. This is the second episode of the homemade cargo bike 2.0. We talked a lot of cargo bikes lately and I invite you to see all the video of this season. But in the meantime, if you liked this video, please leave a thumb up, subscribe to the channel and activate the bell so you won't miss any content like this and help the channel to grow. Thanks! Furthermore, on the website solocosenove.it you can find everything about Solocosenove world. If you'll subscribe to the newsletter, and of course I don't send spam and don't sell your data, there is a little bike mechanics course. Simply select the checkbox and leave the mail. But this episode is about the making of this cargo bike. Let's dive in the video. I bought these steel tubes and I cut them 1 meter long. But the rear rack will be shorter than this. I pay very attention to reuse, but this time I bought these 2 steel tubes. Last time instead I used a coat hanger, cut it in pieces and re-welded. I didn't feel like to cut them from the other cargo bikes I built. By the way, I reused lots of things, as you can see, the old bikes and the handlebar that I cut in pieces and other stuff that I don't tell. I built this frame from scraps of wood and it is of the right dimension for the rear rack where I put the rear seats. And this frame was very useful not only to cut the steel tubes but also to weld them and to keep them in place, as you can see here. So I can advise you to use some sort of supports for everything you have to weld. Instead, if you have some tips for me, I'm not an expert and I will be very happy if you share your experience with me. But I'm learning this kind of blacksmith things. I welded some other tubes in this frame. These pieces can assure me more stability. And okay, the frame is made of steel and it's very robust, but my children have to sit here, so it must be safe. This is a test where I want to mount it and the height where I want to weld it. After that I sign the tube because this part will be inserted in the frontal frame. And here it is, the wheel, the rear wheel of the little bike. It had 5 sprockets and I wanted to mount at least 6. So I was measuring it and in the end I made it, but it's really tight. As you can see, I used this 7 sprocket free wheel. I made a lot of tests because I wasn't sure that it would work inside this frame. Here you can see the middle pin, the pivot, the hub which holds everything in place with a bolt and a counterbolt. Paper tape was very useful. And then it's time to weld it in place. After that I re-weld it on the bench. Then I decided to use the seat tube to add another support for the rear rack. So I cut this piece of steel, which is flat, and mark the center where I will weld the tube. and right now I'm starting to love the iron welding with the rod. It's very resistant and I can use the seat tube for this further support. Everything is very resistant and robust. I used a lot of paper tape. The first time I weld in place, then on the bench to straighten out the welding. The next time is to place these oblique tubes, and it was really painful to keep them in place. I tried with the magnets, but as I can say before, the paper tape was really my salvation. But in the end I made it and I'm very proud of myself. Obviously this rear rack is very long, so I should use another support in the middle, but there is a big problem, so I should remake all the work, because as you can see the rack is too high. So I lowered to the minimum the seated tube. I cut everything and I was suffering a lot in this moment. Then I cleaned all the weldings, then re-welded lower. It took a lot of time to build this bike because I'm not an expert, and as you can see I'm changing clothes from clip to clip, but I was trying to do this work at the best of my abilities. But I don't hide you that it was really hard and it's a really difficult work to do. But I needed a cargo bike and I don't want to spend a lot of money in it. As you can see, the rear rack is really too long, so I had to cut it. That's because I re-welded it further back, but it was really too long and it won't sustain the weight. By the way, I tried to sit on it and some of my adult friends tried it because I wanted that it would sustain my children's weights, and it could be a risk. Thank you for following me also for today, and see you in the next exciting video. Ciao!